Welcome back. Thank you for joining me again on Boss Babes Healing, where we are loving on ourselves by healing and putting God first while we get to the bag. Thank you for joining me again. You could have been anywhere else, but you decided to join me on another episode. In this episode, we will be talking about why we should put God first and why we should give Him our best. Stay tuned. Thank you for joining me again. I appreciate you. I thank you. I hope you caught last week's episode where we were talking about the battle in the mind. On this week, we will be talking about, we will be discussing why we should put God first and why we should give Him our best, why that matters, where does that even come from, and what does it do exactly for us. Okay, so diving right in as we always do. We don't waste time around here. First and foremost, why should we be giving Him our best? Or, you know what? No. Where does that come from? Where does it come from? Where does it originate to give God our first and our best? Yes, it's absolutely in the Word of God. It's in the Bible. Beyond it being in the Bible, before you even knew what love was, God loved you first. He gave His only begotten Son so that you could have everlasting life and be forgiven without you even being born yet. So following in the guidance and the leadership of God, you would follow that same tone. He gave you His all and His best first. So that's exactly the example that we want to follow in as well. To give God our all and our best, because that's what He did for us. That's how He showed His love the first time out the gate. There's many other ways that God showed us love, many other ways that He showed us that He appreciates us and He's here for us. We're breathing, we're alive, we're well, we're functioning as adults, we're walking forward in ministry and in jobs that He's given us, and children that He's allowed us to, give birth to. And these are all things and ways that God has shown us that He loves us, He's here for us, and that He's giving us His best. We have beautiful children who are sweet and talented, and whom He's given us the stewardship, the responsibility, the discipleship to guide and lead, and that is a beautiful thing. But first and foremost, He gave us His only begotten Son. He showed us love. He gave us a plan before we were in our mother's womb. A plan of hope and not disaster. Way before we were ever even treated in this physical realm. And so it's important to give God your best because He's given that to you. It's important to give God your all because He's given that to you. And so that is our example of where it originates from. Now, why do we want to do this? I mean, that's kind of a no-brainer, but let's delve into that anyway. Why we want to give God our first and our all is because under the shadow of the Almighty, we are protected. Psalms 91, we are safe. We are kept in His righteous right hand. He has angels that are assigned to us, that keep us, that protect us, that won't even allow our foot to dash against a stone. So being in alignment with His plan is safety and protection. So you are giving God your all and your first because it's keeping you in His alignment. It's keeping you in the plan, in the will of God. When you're out of the will of God, when you're not in alignment, the protection is not there. You're out of whack. Things are not working out for you. You're lost. You're not in the right relationships. You're not connected to the right people. All kinds of things are going awry and are all over the place. It's chaotic. It's toxic. But when you're in the will of God and you're in alignment with what He's doing in your life, if things do go wrong, if there is someone around, there is toxic relationships, your eyes are open to it. He's showing you the patterns you may continue to fall into or create. He's making you aware by sending you certain people in your life. He's sending you clues. You might audibly hear him. You might have dreams or visions. There's a form or some kind of fashion that God is talking to you in to let you know whenever things are not clear, when they need to be adjusted or positioned to get you back into the alignment in the will of God. And so we give him our all and our first because he loved us first before we were even in creation. We give him our all and our first because it keeps us in alignment where we're protected and loved and held in his righteous right hand, where greater is he that's in us than he that's in the world. And knowing this, we would want to give him our all and our first because we serve a greater and a higher power that positions us to have balance and boundaries and safety and protection. Safety and protection are two different things. There are certain things on a spiritual level where there's safety. There's certain things on a natural level where there's protection. And so you're guarded from hurt, harm, and danger from principalities in the heavenlies. You're protected and you're kept safe from hurt, harm, and danger from accidents and natural disasters and things that happen in the earthly realm. But being safe and being protected are two different things on two different realms. And we want to be protected and safe in both, right? And so we also want to give God our first and our best because we're being examples of who he is. We're being Christ-like. And how else would people see us as being love, as being peace, as being a place they want to be at? There are many churches, there are many homes, many friendships and relationships where they don't work. Things don't grow and they don't strive because there's no love there. We're not creating examples of giving our first and our all to God and showing what type of person we really are as Christians. Who are you really as a Christian when it comes to your personality? When it comes to what's in your hand? Is it your hand out to give? Is it your hand out to take? Where in the balance of personality and Christianity do you fit exactly? Are you giving? Are you taking? Are you setting an example of what love and Christianity really looks like by giving your all and giving your first? And I'm not saying go broke. I'm not saying give your all and you don't have anything. I'm saying give it your best. When I say give it your all, for anyone who is mistaking what I'm saying, I know that my audience is smart. You guys are educated, but there may be someone who's younger listening who may catch that the wrong way, and I just want to clarify that for them. Giving your all doesn't mean to give your last. And there might be some cases where you do, but that's not what that means. I've been in places where I've given my all and given my last and just had nothing. And God had nothing to do with that. I was in a place where, it was like, okay, here comes the collection plate. Give us your last when it was bill money. Give us your last when it was grocery money. And then when it was time to come around for me to ask for help, there was no help. I was homeless and they were in Paris. I was hungry and they were in the supermarket running up a $400, $500 bill. So I don't mean to give your last as in you don't have anything left after that. I don't think that's smart. I don't think God is in that. I really don't. I do not think God is in you giving your last to someone or a place or a thing and you're hungry and you're starving after that, or you're homeless and you don't have a roof over your head after that. I don't think God is in that at all. You can argue with me all day or argue with your mama, but he's not in that. God is not in poverty. He's not in making bad decisions where he leaves you empty. The only time God wants you empty is when you're emptying out the bad, the crap, the garbage, so he can fill you up with love, with positivity, with his Holy Spirit, to fill you up with joy, to rejuvenate you, to redeem you, to give you recompense. God will never ask you to empty out yourself and you have nothing left and you're empty and lost and hungry and have no shelter. So if you're in that situation, this is for somebody. Spiritually, I'm hearing that. If you're in a situation where someone's asking you to give your last, God is not in that situation. He's not there. You should remove yourself. And do it as fast as possible. You're being taken advantage of. They saw you coming. They knew that you didn't really know what Christianity walk is. They know that you're not too savvy in the word of the Lord, and that you don't know that there are riches, that there are treasures, that there are pleasures evermore, that God surrounds you with his favor and his love, and that the earth is filled with his goodness for you. So get into your word. If there's things you gotta Google it, but get into your word. Because God is here for you. He loves you. He wants you to have change in your life. He wants things to turn around for you. He wants you to be able to stand up on your own in him and through him. There's a such thing as being independent through God. Being independent in God. Where he's leading you, he's guiding you, he's first. But he's replenished you and given you enough to stand on your own 2 feet. How are you giving your best? How are you giving your first if you're empty? So if someone is doing or saying anything to empty you, again, God is not there. Run. But back on the subject at hand, we're giving our best and we're giving our first. We know why, we know where it originated from, and we know the example that we want to set for our children, for the people that we're helping, for our community, for our spouses. A lot of you are dating, or you're married, or you're going to get married. You're in that stage. And you want to set an example that you're not greedy, you're not a gold digger, you're not a gimme girl, you're not a gimme guy. There's balance. I'm going to give you my all, which is my best, not my last, because I'm smart enough to have balance and have savings and have a stash and have what I need and be able to create a system where things are replenished when they go out. There's something that comes back in, right? And so in relationships, it's very important to absolutely create that cycle, create that balance, and create that tone, if you will, that you are going to give them your all in the particular position as far as a relationship. So whatever that details, you're giving your best and you're giving your first. You're being the man or the woman of God that the Lord has called you to be, And in that position, you're creating an example of how this relationship is going to go. It's going to be where you give and I give, where you can take and I can take, where we have balance and we have respect and we honor each other. And if you want a foot rub, you get a foot rub. You want to rub your back, I'll rub your back. I might want mine rubbed, right? And so when we're in that position, we're not rubbing on each other early on. When we're married and we're in that position, we're giving each other that equal balance. I'm not at all giving you the go-ahead to be feeling on up on no man and he'll be feeling up on you, girl. Slow it down. What I'm saying is, when you're in that position, there's giving, there's taking, there's balance. But you're also showing him or her that I'm here for you. I'm the type of give it my all woman. I'm the type of give you my first and not my last or my scraps. Or we'll talk when I'm tired. At the end of my day, when everything is over, I'm giving you the last of my day. No, I'm texting you in the beginning of the day. I'm asking you how you're doing. I'm not WYDing you all day long either. You know, I'm giving you substance in our conversation. You know, there's value, showing you that I'm educated and I know how to hold a conversation. And so I'm giving you my all in that way. I'm giving you my all when we speak, even if it's a text message, when we go out. I'm looking my best because I'm giving you that also. The way I look, I want us to be able to have that balance where my fly matches your fly, and you're not out with someone who's in sweats with her hair all over the place, you know, and which is embarrassing. You wouldn't want him to show up that way, right? So you're giving it your best, and your all. Not your last, but your best and your all. And so on this week's episode, I hope and I pray that you got the gems and the pieces that you need that will help you to flourish and grow in relationships, and flourish and grow in ministry, and flourish and grow in the church and at home and with your children, of giving your best and your all. And part of giving your best and your all, lastly but not least, is pouring into yourself so you're full and you can give your best and your all. You can't give your best and your all when you're empty. So we can see that it doesn't include giving your last. The proper way to give your best and your all is to stay full. How do we stay full? Self-love. Self-love is not demonic and it's not selfish. It's replenishing yourself. It's learning to be a good steward over what God gave you. You are God's vessel. He gave you this physical vessel. And so we're replenishing it by eating properly and sleeping properly and staying out of toxic relationships and away from those conversations that are no good for us. We're watching the right things. We're feeding our eye gates and our ear gates the proper things so that we're not sleeping and having all kind of crazy dreams that were waking us up in the middle of the night or disturbing our sleep or disturbing us mentally because we're not feeding our minds the right things. We're reading. We're listening to positive podcasts. We're watching services online where we're getting the word, where we're getting fed properly spiritually. So we're absolutely on a consistent everyday basis filling ourselves up so that we're full to capacity in order to be able to give. If someone is telling you to love yourself is selfish, again, run. You need to be full to give. You need to be full to serve. That is a huge part of being a child of God, being in ministry, and being a Christian, is serving. You're having the heart posture and the mind of servitude. And when you're in a relationship, you're absolutely in the posture of servitude. You can't serve with an empty hand. You can't serve with an empty heart. You can't serve tired. You can, but you're depleting yourself and you don't deserve that, and neither does the person who you're trying to give to, right? So self-love is important. Self-love looks like filling you back up so that you're good. Filling you back up so that you feel positive. Filling you back up so that you're on 100. So that at any given time, if you're in a supermarket and you come out of the supermarket and you see someone who's down and out and they need you, you can help them. Not walk past them and ignore them because you don't have what it is that it takes to give them. Self-love is important. Self-love looks like feeding your mind and your emotions and keeping your hormones balanced and having a proper diet. Having the proper diet with food, with what you watch, with what you listen to, with your conversations, with who you entertain, with who you have relationships with. It's also bubble baths. It's also shopping on the weekend. It's also making sure that your clothes are clean and primped and proper so that you feel how you look, and that's good. So pour into you. And when you're ready to give and it's time, and you're in that Kairos season where God is asking you to now pour, you have it to pour. Now you know why you should pour your best and your first. The example you're giving of best and first, and how that affects our relationships, ourselves, and our children, our homes, and our ministries. I thank you for joining me. I know that you got what you needed, and I do expect to see you next time. Peace and love.